everybody. I hope you're having a great day. We're going to talk about introductions and conclusions in this presentation. By now, you should have finished your thesis statement of your essay. You should have finished the body paragraphs of your essay. It's best to wait until you finish the body of your essay to write an introduction or a conclusion for your essay. The reason for that is because an introduction really should be kind of like an advertisement for your paper. It should make your reader want to read your essay. And you can't really do that well if you don't really have the end product finished. You don't have a sense of what it is as a whole, as a complete thing. So it's best to wait to write an introduction or a conclusion. The purpose of an introduction is to bring the reader into your world, to bring them into your thinking. And it's meant to generate interest in your topic. So like an advertisement, it should make your reader want to read the essay. It also allows your reader to form a good concept of your authorial persona. What this means is, as a reader, when readers read, they form a sense of who that reader is. They decide, do I trust this person? Do I think they're smart and thoughtful? Do I think they've researched this well? Do I believe them? All of those things are happening sort of subconsciously for all readers as they read. And your reader is going to do the same with you. You want to leave a good impression in the introduction. You want your reader to believe you, to think that you're genuine and that you're fair and that you're unbiased. Those are things that readers want to believe about authors they read. You want to give your reader a clear sense of your topic. They should know what the essay is about when they finish your introduction. In a longer essay, you might anticipate the structure. And when I mean longer, I mean anything beyond about 12 pages to 30, 40 pages. Those kind of pieces. Things that might become a dissertation or a master's thesis. Graduate level papers, for example, anticipate the structure of an essay, long essays. But the kind of essays that students typically write in their undergraduate work at college, essays between 7 and 12 pages. One paragraph is usually sufficient for an introduction, and it doesn't really need to do a lot of establishing the form of an essay because the essay is short enough for the reader to remember the main points as they move through. Finally, your introduction should present your thesis, and it should do that last because that's where the reader then transitions into the body, into the reasons for the thesis, into the evidence. So it should present your thesis or controlling idea last. Things that I really don't want you to do in an introduction. First of all, do not just say what you're going to say. Some of you may have heard from a previous teacher that an introduction's job is to say what you're going to say it again, and say it a third time. Please, please just forget that. Because professional writers and published work doesn't repeat the topic over and over again like 3 times. They don't need to repeat things to you. You're smart. Assume your reader is smart, and don't insult them that way. Finally, or next, don't use phrases like, this essay will be about. That formal distancing structure. In this essay, I will discuss. Oh, that's so awful. It's so boring, and it's also really, really off-putting for a reader. They decide, oh my gosh, this is so formal, it's going to put me to sleep, and they want to stop reading right there. Don't do that. Just present your thesis. Penguins should be purple. There's your thesis. Okay? Finally, do not summarize in your essay, in your introduction, ever. I know that you may have been taught that introductions summarize, but really, you don't need to summarize the points of your essay in your introduction. That is a very old-fashioned way of thinking of it. It's boring, it's not dynamic, and it's not interesting. It won't make your reader want to read your essay. Think about it this way. Have you ever seen a movie preview on TV, and after you're done watching the preview, you thought, wow, I've seen all the best parts of that movie. I don't think I need to pony up my $10 and go and see it in the theater. That's not a good movie preview. A good movie preview should make you want to go see the movie. Can you see the difference? Don't turn your introduction into all the good points already stated, and then make your reader decide, well, I've read all the good points, I'm not going to read this essay. Instead, you need a strategy. You need what newspaper writers call a hook, and it's something that draws your reader in and makes them want to pay attention to your essay. Here are some good hooks, and there are a lot of them out there. You could certainly Google, introduction hooks for essays, and you will find a ton of ideas. But here are some that I think are useful. Cite an interesting statistic that kind of casts your topic in a new light. Suggest the long-term effects of your topic. Offer an analogy. Relate an anecdote. Remember, an anecdote is a story told as evidence. And a story is an excellent way to start an essay because it touches the reader's feelings and makes them care about your topic. Make a surprising statement. Introduce a quotation from an expert of some kind. Acknowledge an opinion or approach that differs from your own. This works for short arguments that are about 5 pages long, but if you're moving into the research type paper, this probably isn't the best because you're going to want to reserve the opposition statement. You want to have a section in your paper dedicated to the opposition. So this works for short papers, but not necessarily for longer ones. But it's a great way to start a really short argument where you say, some people believe that penguins should be pink, and you go on about that a little bit, and then you come in and say, in fact, penguins really should be purple, and offer your thesis. Okay? So that's one way to do this. And then another way is to offer a definition. Also can be a little boring. Be careful with it. And also, if you're doing one of those longer papers, those longer 10-page research papers, background and definition should be in the body of the paper. But in a short argument, this might be a good thing to do. Some people just like a simple formula. It's 11:30 at night, the paper's due, they want to just have a formula so they can write the introduction and be done with it. Are there more creative ways to write an introduction? Absolutely. There are more interesting and creative ways to create an introduction for your essay. But if you want a simple formula that does the job, here's a formula. Introduce your topic in 1 sentence. State why the topic is important in 1 sentence. State that there's a difference of opinion about this topic in 1 to 2 sentences, and clearly state your main claim and describe the primary reasons you support that claim in 1 sentence. So there's a formula if you would like one. Now we're going to move on to conclusions. Conclusions should leave your reader with a feeling of being complete. It lets your reader know that you have finished your essay. It should situate your argument as finished but not dead. It should suggest the implications of your argument for the discourse community within which you have written. And remember, the discourse community is all of the people who also talk about that same topic. So, for example, you might have a mechanical discourse community, or you might have a mathematical discourse community, or a historical discourse community. So sometimes a paper addresses questions that are typical in that discourse community, and that would be a way to end your paper. It should leave your readers impressed with your rhetorical ability and even-handed approach. When I walk away from an essay, if the reader has been very argumentative or in your face with their position, if they have made me feel like the opposition is stupid, then I feel I have a bad taste in my mouth. I feel like I don't trust those writers. I feel like they aren't being even-handed and they haven't given the opposition a fair chance. They haven't really considered the opposition's position and why they might believe that. So I really don't like to see that in an essay. So be really even-handed and unbiased as possible. You should offer a call to action or an avenue for further study. That is a really important thing to do. So basically, if you've ended your essay and you've told your essay reader all the reasons that penguins should be purple, then one of the things you might do in the conclusion is say, we should go out and dye all the penguins purple. Yes, that's absurd, but there it is, a call to action. Maybe you end an essay about gun control and you say we should write our senators with our position and clearly stating why we should do that. or an avenue for further study. If you're not quite so confident and you don't want your thesis to be a definite let's do this, maybe it should at least say this is where we need to put some more energy in studying this topic. You may remind your reader, but do not repeat your thesis. So somewhere in that conclusion, there should be a sentence that lets the reader remember what your thesis statement was, but it does not just repeat it. You should not restate your thesis word for word. You should not restate your reasons word for word. You should not use the words in conclusion or in summary or any version of that anywhere ever. When you were in grade school, some kind grade school teacher taught you to begin your summary with in summary or begin your conclusion with in conclusion. And that was because mentally, you as a writer at that time needed to write those words to understand what that meant. Basically, your brain had not yet learned the higher level thinking skills that it needs to be a sophisticated writer. So you learned things to do things in a way that were developmentally appropriate for you as a writer at that time. The problem is nobody disabused you of it when your brain had developed beyond that. And I'm telling you right now, I don't need the words in conclusion to know that you're concluding. And remember, good writing is concise. Extra words should be chopped. You don't need the words in conclusion. They are boring and they make your reader feel a little bit insulted if they are smart because they know that you're concluding. They don't need them. Here are some options to consider when you're concluding an essay. You might cite a quote that intensifies your thesis or casts it in a new light. Be careful with that one. You don't want to open up a new can of worms. You do want your essay to feel finished. Show how your essay is part of a larger context or discourse community. Redefine an important term. Now that you've finished your essay, maybe there's a term that has a new meaning. How does your treatment of the topic direct your reader to look in new directions or help them redefine a traditional view? How have you helped them to reimagine this topic? Here are some formulas. This formula is good for long or complex essays, anything from 10 to 30 pages. You remind your reader of your main points in 1 to 2 sentences, but be sure to restate them in a fresh new way. You emphasize the most important points, and you refer to something you used in your introduction, giving a reader a circular sense of completion. Best for short papers is to bring up the central dilemma of the essay, offer some advice that reflects your approach, state a call to action, and consider the future implications of your topic. Those are the best sort of pithy conclusions for short essays. And this is my references. I hope you have a nice day.